Looking like a
Love that smile. Get it kicked off the right way. Don't creep anybody out. What's going on, everybody? For those of you that have been watching us on MJT for all this time, we did start a new channel, Fifth Down. It's in the description. We're going to be doing our shows over there in the future. We'll still be on this channel for at least the rest of the regular season. But go, please, in the description to Fifth Down Shop and subscribe over there so you can hang out with us and talk football. Let's get into something that I noticed today, Joe, and anybody listening. Do you think this is a good strategy? Lane Kiffin is being interviewed at halftime. The reporter goes, what do you think that needs to be done to get your run game going? What do you think about a coach just going like, first play, out of half, we are running power. Like that is the play. We are coming out in the first play. This is exactly what we're going to run. So anybody on the other team watching that would see that and be like, you think he's being serious? So they set up to play that, and then he pulls the okie doke with a little play action and hits a home run on the first play. Like, do you think that's worth a shot, at least, for a coach to try and use that once? And when they ask him, he's not going to answer. He's not going to be able to answer that in 15 seconds. But in that 15 seconds, he could go, you know what, I'm sick of it. And we are going to come out and we are going to run power on the first play. We're going to smash him right in the face. And this is what we're going to do. And just give the quarterback up there and say, hey, if you get the look, if it looks like they're loading the box or the safety's creeping down, play action. Go over the top on the first play. Like there. Yeah.
Well, you got to think teams are always trying to get some advantage. So you don't think they're watching the telecast, like everything's going on. So yeah, I think it's smart of him to do stuff like that. That's why the coaches are still covering their faces and stuff.
Yeah, I think they should try and use it to their advantage. Realistic VR, NFL Mike will not be joining us. So you're down one Chargers fan. We are terribly sorry. Joe is a
Mike
Rams
is still
fan
suspended.
Too.
We don't allow Mike on this program.
Mike should be back with us in the future on these shows. Good morning, Rory. This is our friend from Ireland, right? I want to make sure that I'm getting the country right. I hope it is. I hope I didn't.
You know what? Before we start anything, I just want to say this, Tony. Jameson Winston is a national treasure, right? He's
absolutely.
Like I told you last week, I just want to hear his pregame. And then last week or on Thursday, when he was on Amazon Prime and he's running off the field and he said he just got a delivery from Amazon Prime. It comes at 9:00 and it was a dub. I thought that was the greatest line that he could say. So Winston, I love everything that Winston's doing out there. And I read something today that said Winston doesn't have CTE. CTE has Winston.
Oh, that's funny. Jameis Winston is going to be the absolute draw when he retires. Whatever, like, I hope he doesn't go to ESPN. I hope he goes somewhere else where he gets to be a little bit more himself, a little bit crazy, kind of off the cuff a little bit. But I think he would be a massive draw to like any sort of, whether it's like a pregame show for prime time or whatever he's doing, like he's fantastic. Everything he says is like, please keep talking, keep, like sharing stories about your kid eating snow. And let's just talk about how beautiful that game was. Like I called my entire family into the living room the other night and I was watching it because it's kind of like, it was like recess football for me when I was a kid. Grew up in Michigan, if anybody doesn't know that about me. It reminded me of like, hey, you guys are going to get 22 minutes. We've already picked teams. We've gone out there. It's just been a blizzard, and we know that we're going to be out there playing tackle football, at least until yard duty came over, and she's like, hey, I thought I told you guys it had to be two-hand touch. Get out of here. Get out of here, lady. Killing my buzz. It just reminded me of being a kid again. I love that shit.
You know what's crazy is looking at the highlights of that game and you're like, oh, it's a beautiful day. It's all green. And then the second half shows it's all clear white is all done with.
And I like that technology they had too, with the lasers in there where we could, as fans, we could see it.
Yeah.
Like I think that's great, because I was trying to tell my son. He's like, how come you can still see it? And I was like, when I was a kid, you had no idea where they were. Like if they could have been at their 15, they could have been on the opposing person's 15. If the camera shot wasn't perfect where you could see the end zone, like sometimes you just had no clue where it was, but it was still so
when
fun.
LaShawn McCoy was it the Eagles and Lions a couple years ago that you couldn't tell anything. It was like horrible.
Absolute blizzard. Football.
But I do love games like that though. Like that, those are my favorite kind of games to watch.
100%. It's so much fun. It just feels like, oh, it's great. And even like where I'm at now, like took the dog for a walk this morning. Leaves are changing colors. Gorgeous outside. I love fall, winter. Rest of the country getting tons of snow. Our first game that we're going to talk about, Joe, we do not have snow for this game. But I put this game as the first game of the week that I want to talk about, because like the NFC West right now, Cardinals 6-4, the other three teams 5-5. We're going to get to the Niners game after this, but like Purdy being ruled out, the Rams are getting the Eagles at home, which is probably going to be a home game for the Eagles. Philadelphia fans travel well. Plus there's just a lot of people from Philadelphia that live out here that will take the chance to go see their birds on Sunday Night Football at SoFi. But we talked about this on the Fifth Down newsletter earlier in the week. Like, there's something about this Cardinals team that I just believe in when I watch it. It's so much fun. The defense is playing such like disciplined, connected football. You know, like you don't really know who it is, but like the pass rushers they're finding ways to like get after it just enough. The secondary's playing strong. But then on the offensive side of the ball, like Kyler's back to being that top 7, top 5 QB when he's really locked in. And on the other side, the Seahawks, it's just been an absolute roller coaster all season. Like they're, like sometimes they look like they could win a division, and then other weeks you're like, what is this, the Carolina Panthers? Sorry.
Did you not see Geno win the game and get on my back? Get on my back, Seattle, and just took him right into the end zone to win that game. Something we talked about last week, right? I was like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I couldn't take the Seahawks against the Niners because they always find a way to lose. But I wouldn't be surprised if they actually won, and that's what happened with Geno Smith. So this is kind of the same thing, like, right? It's we were all – didn't Seattle start like 3-0? Like, wasn't it like a big deal for them? And now they're like struggling. Arizona doing better. But this is what we talked about in the offseason about Arizona. This back half of their schedule is where they could win these games and pick up this and get that momentum going. They actually won more games in the first half than we were thinking they would. Sitting there at 6-4, the division is right there at their grasp, and this is another. Like if you look, I think they're the best. I think Arizona has the best division record of all the teams right now, right? I think because I want to say the Niners are like 1 or 0-3 or something in that division. So I think this right here would make the Arizona Cardinals the NFC West favorites the rest of the year with this win.
Oh, absolutely. So the Cardinals they play the Seahawks this week, then they play the Vikings, then they go home and they get Seattle again. So they're going to play the team 2 times in 3 weeks. Sometimes that stuff gets a little, weird when you're playing. Like, there's like a lot of familiarity already in the division, and then you're getting like, how much can you really expand or change different things if you're playing a team that close, that in that proximity. I don't know. I just feel good about where the Cardinals are headed. And there's always that one coach that we kind of like laugh about, and then they get there and they work, and the thing that's frustrating to me and probably some other Chargers fans is like, I believe that Jonathan Gannon is like best buds with Brandon Staley, and it's working out for him. And that's the part that's like, we had the guy's best friend for 3 years, and it was an absolute freaking nightmare every week rooting for our guy. But I'm taking the Cardinals in this one. Who are you taking, Joe?
I'll take the Cardinals as well.
Yeah, I feel good about it. I have no ill will towards the Seahawks, but I just like the way the Cardinals are playing ball this year. This team, though, Joe, hoo-wee. This is so this game started off at the beginning of the week. I locked in the Packers for our prediction show, bet against the spread on Fifth Down. Again, subscribe to that so we can all hang out and talk football. But I had the Packers at -1. Then the Packers go up then they're favored -3. Then Brock Purdy's ruled out. Nick Bosa's ruled out. They take it off the board because you're going on the road. Me and you were texting last night. Brandon Allen starting this game, not the Pastronaut. I think that's kind of what, as a fan, that's what I wanted to see. But I honestly don't think it matters. I think they're going to get potential another snow game here, at least bad weather. And it's like CMC is back, but not maybe fully back. Pass game has struggled a little bit with Brock Purdy out there. I don't think it gets better without him out there. A
lot of Niner fans say that Brandon Allen is going to play like Jimmy G did for the Niners and just win the game.
I can't.
But I say, blow the whistle, Tony. Blow the whistle. The Niners season is over because the Niners are done. If they don't win this game, find some way to win this game, they're absolutely done because their schedule is brutal. So I'm blowing the whistle on the Niners season. Bye, Niners. Bye.
They're 0-3 in the division. And the way that they've been losing these games, like late in the fourth quarter, the struggles in the red zone, like it's just been nightmare for nightmare. Here's the one thing. Let me talk about the Packers, and then we'll finish again with the 49ers. On the Packers side of this, that was a big steal last week in the win. Like, I don't recall the last time that I've seen games being won by blocked field goals, but now this is like the second time that this has happened in 2 weeks or whatever it was. Like, if we see a game end this week on a blocked field goal, like the fix is in. The script is real, people, if that's how games are ending. But
they're like, this one got ratings. Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Yeah, the clips are going viral on the internet, so why not? Let's keep making it happen if that's what they want to see. The Packers are really close to something where it's like clicking in, and now's the time of year where, like, if they can start playing their best ball, like if the defense can continue to make similar strides. I forgot to follow up with the Packers injury report, but I saw early in the week some issues defensively. I'm starting to blank so much information in my head, but mostly I like Josh Jacobs in this game to just find ways to just lean on him and then be able to take some shots. Jaden Reed, Christian Watson looked really good last week. Like, can they continue to connect with him on the same page? Like, even that one where he just throws it up into the double team, it's like Love's going to do that a couple times a game, and that's why it's fun to watch him. So, like, let's go Pack. Go Pack. Yeah. Go.
Now, after watching the Packers last week and probably this week, I'm not going to say that they're going to do any damage in the playoffs. They're a good regular season team. They're going to win some games, but that's about it. But I'm taking the Packers to win this game.
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers too, and they cannot drop the ball right here with this game to get the 49ers in this form of the 49ers too. They can't lose the game at home. Can't fall that far behind in the NFC, especially if they have any hopes of catching the Lions here. I just want to say this last thing about the 49ers before we move on. The fans that are getting louder and louder about this fire Kyle Shanahan business, this guy would be hired in like 58 seconds. Like, as long as it took for that owner or that general manager of another team to find the number to call him is how fast Kyle Shanahan would be hired. Like, this idea that you can't, like, it's like, well, if we never win the Super Bowl and just imagine they've been to the NFC Championship game, I think 3 years in a row or 3 out of the last 4 years or whatever it is, and you lose in the Super Bowl in the way that you did. Like Greenlaw, who's kind of like the emotional leader of your defense, has been out all season. You have all this crap going on in the offseason with rookie wide receiver getting shot, Brandon Ayuk holding out, like CMC is going to Germany for stem cells. Like, there's just so much stuff that was building up for this team. Like it was meant for them to have the kind of like 8-9, 9-8 season that happens when you've been playing as much football as they've had, and you're not rewarded with the final Super Bowl trophy. Like that's the difference. We're even seeing it with the Chiefs right now, where it's like they're just sort of hanging on and hanging into a lot of these games because it is really, really hard to play this much football this many years in a row, and it's finally catching up with the 49ers. I just don't think that the 49ers have a Kyle Shanahan problem. That seems insane to me.
And you know, a biased opinion here because, you know, I don't hate the Niners or love the Niners. You know, I'm just straight down the line when it comes to the Niners. I think they should fire Kyle Shanahan. That would probably be the best thing for that franchise. To just move on from Kyle Shanahan. Get rid of the guy that's taking you and changing this franchise around. Like, you don't want him anymore. Get rid of him. That's what I – but, Tony, if you think about it, there's two coaches that if they got fired this offseason would have jobs like this. And one of them's Kyle Shanahan. The other one is Stefanski from Cleveland. If those two guys hit the market, they're already hired.
Absolutely. So I would say more like this, like 49ers fans should be careful what they wish for, because what if Kyle says, you know what, I'm exhausted, I'm burnt out, and I want to pull a Sean Payton. I want to take a year off, assess the situation, and then find another organization to like recharge, start over somewhere else. Like that would be the worst side to me.
Just ask Devontae Adams. The grass ain't always greener.
Yeah,
Uniform might be, but the grass ain't.
The 49ers organization has had some really great coaches, right? Like,
could Chip Kelly come back?
They went from, I think this is the organization that went from Jim Harbaugh and like 3 straight NFC championship game to like Jim Tom Sula or whoever followed him, after him. And then eventually you get to Kyle Shanahan.
Was Mike Singletary before or after Harbaugh?
I think he was before. He was the coach that was there before Harbaugh got there. It's all
can't do it. Can't win with him. Can't do it.
Can't play with him. Can't coach with him. Can't do it. Mike Singletary. That guy scared me. When I first started, they would do like the NFL film stuff on Saturday, and they would just zoom in on the intensity of that guy's. I was like, I can't. That's that kind of intensity. Like
I miss those kind of coaches, though. The Denny Greens, the coaches that are like gave good press conference. Like I miss those. Now you just get we're on to Cleveland or on Cincinnati. Like I want the good ones. They are who we thought they were.
It's kind of like the Todd Bowles moment earlier from the year. Remember when he was like he like freaked out and screamed for a second? That's how I felt about like that was 15 minutes of Denny Green. Rest in peace, brother. Great.
Or Mike Gundy just yelling, "Talk to me. I'm a man. I'm 40."
Oh, Todd Gundy's still out there doing it. All right, this one's for Rory right here. We got the Chiefs coming off their first loss of the season up in Buffalo. Many people predicted that. Many people cheered for it. Our friend NFL Mike had a nice little viral moment. Ooh, I'm feeling your change in flavor here. I can't wait to get an explanation on that. But we had the Chiefs lose, and it's kind of been flirting with that. I don't think that – I mean, the game does mean something, obviously, because it could mean the Bills get home field advantage. But, like, in the grand scheme of things, the game that will ultimately matter is the game that is going to be played in late January. Like, that's the one that the Bills have to win. I do think that they can do it. They were my preseason – the Bills were my preseason team to make to the Super Bowl, although kind of leaning Chargers a little bit. We'll see what happens on Monday night. The Panthers, they won 2 in a row before the bye. Bryce Young showing a little bit of life. Keep pounding, Joe? Are we back in the Panthers in this one? What's happening?
I literally think that the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. I literally think that, Tony. No, we can't back the Panthers after one loss against the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs are going to come out pissed off. They have a tough game on Black Friday. You know they're already thinking ahead of it, but that's not going to stop them from rolling over the Carolina Panthers this week.
So a lot of the reports that I saw was that Pacheco was going to be back. Then I think I saw something where he's going to sit out. I never fully understood why you would bring back Pacheco for this game. Like, I don't even know if I'd bring him back for the Raiders game on Black Friday. Like, I don't think that there's any reason to get him back out there. Like, you're going to need him at the end of the season. So I like that. I will say too, like, I don't really like anything the Chiefs did, but if I'm just being sort of fair as like a football fan, as somebody who watches, who's excuse me, who invested in kind of what the team's doing strategically, I like the way that they used Worthy last week, and I think that kind of stuff expands, especially too if they can get him more vertical. You have more opportunities to include Juju and D-Hop and Noah Gray. So the Chiefs, to me, are fine. I still think the defense is really good. They'll figure it out. Special teams, it's all coached well. As long as the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl, I'm happy. From the Panthers side of things, I think this is the week we get to see Jonathan Brooks. Like, are we just going to add to the list of running backs that Jerry Jones missed out on? Like, can Jonathan Brooks come out, just have like one big run, have like a 48-yard touchdown run that just like in every comment is like Cowboys fans being like, man, I wish we would have drafted him. Why did Jerry have to get to the press conference and announce like we already had him on the squad?
Cowboys are all in. I think this is going to be an easy game for the Chiefs. They're back at it. It's Carolina Panthers. I don't even know why we're talking so much about this one.
Yeah.
Would I love for the Carolina Panthers to win? Hell yes. Have I seen how good the Carolina Panthers can be this year? Yeah, I was there live in person when they destroyed my team.
So really quick, 11 points enough for you to take the Panthers in this game?
No.
I'm on the fence. If it was 10, I don't know.
Is the Black Panther playing for him? Then yeah.
It's who?
If the Black Panther's coming over, then I'll take him.
Yes. If they resurrect the late, great, Chadwick Boseman? Tommy Huxley, he's a 49ers fan. Yeah, where are you at with all these? Because he's more my age. Are you with the fire Kyle Shanahan, or is that just nonsense to you?
Did you hear what he said right here?
Yeah,
2 first-round picks for Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't even see that.
Well,
I do think a team would be willing to trade first-round pick for Kyle Shanahan.
What did Sean Payton do? What did Sean Payton went for a first and something else, right? When the Saints traded him?
No, I don't know. I thought it was a second or a third or something like that, because they didn't have any first-round picks because of the Russell Wilson trade. I think they went for and it was also like a better deal because the GM of the Saints is like buddies with Sean Payton, and he's like, hey, just get me out of here. This is where I want to go. Whatever they offer.
So Tommy's saying don't fire him, but he would be open to a trade.
Yeah, it's there. I mean, trade again. I think
that's the same logic that you would have for any I think you have the same logic for your coach as you have for your players. Everybody in the organization is up for trade depending on how much you want to pay for them. I think that's the same way. Like, this price tag might be really high, but if you're going to pay it, he can go.
Justin Herbert is not available for trade. There is not a package that I am willing to accept for that.
But if somebody came and somebody goes, hey, we'll offer you 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks. You know what? You could take our entire draft class for the next 3 years.
Doesn't matter.
You're going to say, no, that's bullshit.
Yes, because Joe, we're seeing it right now. Like, if you don't have the quarterback, right, you got to have the ownership, the coach, the quarterback to be competitive. To win a Super Bowl, then you have to have like everything: defensive coordinators and special teams and strength training and all the resources. And then on top of that, you need luck. And the quarterback is like the biggest piece in today's game, especially now that you can't hit them and play as physical as the way you do.
You can have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and your team will still be losing games. You can have the best quarterback and wide receiver combination and still losing games.
Exactly. I understand that you are referencing the Bengals right now, but what I am saying is you're going to feel a lot better about where the Bengals are next year going in than wherever the Raiders are going to be next year. Yes or no?
Not with Shador Sanders. What are you talking about?
We
got the savior from Colorado coming to Vegas to save this franchise. And you know what? And we're going to make the Raiders great again.
Oh, my gosh. Let's go. Right here. Speaking of great quarterbacks, Joe, this could be your guy. Daniel Jones getting released. we're in one of these like weird worlds where it's like, so wait, why didn't the Raiders do this for like Derek Carr? Like, why was that? I get that it was like like closer to the end of the season or whatever. Like, why didn't the Broncos do this with Russell Wilson? Like, this just seems like the classier thing to do. Like, you're already going to have to pay the guy, and you're clearly making a business decision. Just let him go. At the end of this, I would like to talk about Daniel Jones a little bit, but as far as this game goes, this feels like a great spot for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to start their second half run, Joe. And I'm going to say right now, the Bucs are winning the NFC South. They're going to turn this thing around. The Bucs are going to get back on the right track, and they are going to win 5-6 more games. They're going to go on a nice little run. They're going to win the NFC South. I don't have anything
Mike
to
Evans
back it
should
up
be
other
back
than a
this
gut
game,
feel.
right?
What is it?
Mike Evans should be back this game. They're already the 6th highest scoring offense in the league, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you just added another good weapon. Tommy's calling him Danny Crimes. I like that one because all he does is steal money. I kind of deep down inside, like I would love for the New York Giants to win, right? Because that just screws up their draft pick. But I don't know. There's a lot of things going wrong with the Giants organization that I'm like, when you like, I actually like, I don't think Drew Lock was the answer or ever is the answer. But I think it is fucked up that the guy was your number 2 quarterback all year and you just go right to Tommy DeVito. Like, give him a shot, and if he doesn't do it, then the next game you go to Tommy DeVito, whatever. But I think that was kind of screwed up. Getting rid of Danny Dimes, yeah, you're going to pay him anyways. I think it's a good thing for Danny Dimes to be out there on the free agent market right now because he can go get with the team and show what they have for the next 5 weeks or whatever, 6 weeks that he's going to be with that team. And if they want to keep him, they hang on to him. But it's good to go experience another organization and see what they can do. But I mean, I think Danny Dimes would have to go to change his career. He'd have to go to like St. Louis or Minnesota or Miami, somewhere that could, or even San Francisco, somewhere that's going to use him as a backup and be able to work with him, but have a good quarterback, offensive coach that can change him up. But yeah, this game right here, I'm taking Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is moving in the right direction. They had some injuries early in the season. They're starting to bounce back from them. And this is just a good way to start it right here off the New York Giants. Tommy DeVito, he's going to be serving up interceptions.
I absolutely would like to see Daniel Jones go to Sean McVay, see him potentially end up with Mike McDaniel, Kevin O'Connell. Like, go be the emergency practice squad quarterback for the rest of the season and see if there's a situation where, like, next year the Vikings don't have Sam Darnold on the team, JJ go blue, he's starting for the team, Daniel Jones moves into a backup role and just sort of gets that opportunity. Because the thing with Daniel Jones is he does everything you want from the quarterback except play the position at a high level, right? Like, he's a great leader. He's focused. He says the right things in the media, professional, good guy. But then it gets on the field and, like, I don't know. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough to do it. I don't fully understand why it looks so disconnected out there. But maybe that has to
be a confidence level.
Getting the right coaching.
It could be just confidence because we talked about it all offseason. Go back and watch the Hard Knocks with the Giants in the offseason. What did they do? The GM, the head coach, the owner, all they did was smash down Daniel Jones and talk about how they needed a quarterback. Even the GM's kid, remember, like, I would draft Jaden Daniels, Dad. Like, you're just talking shit about your franchise quarterback or the guy that you paid to be your franchise quarterback before they even started the season. So everybody who knew the New York Giants or watched that organization, you knew it was going to be a train wreck going into the season because you gave no confidence to the guy going in there. I do like what Tommy said right here. He said Evans is a beast and the running back is a dog for Tampa Bay. And I'm sure he's talking about Bucky Irving, but not only do they have Bucky Irving, White is still doing his thing. And they have a third running back. I can't think of his name right now.
Sean Tucker.
I was going to say Tucker because he has your last name. There you go. But yeah, they're just riding the hot hand. And if you like, it's crazy that you've never been able to play two running backs from the same team in fantasy football. But if you are right now, Tampa Bay running backs are getting you the points.
Yeah, I think I'm a huge fan of Bucky Irving. He was one of those guys that I make fun of you for, because when we went to the fantasy draft in Vegas, I spent 15 minutes talking about how good of a pick that was going to be, and then we get to the draft board and I was like, okay, Bucky's still there. I'll wait for him for a couple more rounds, and all of a sudden I see Joe go put Bucky Irving's name on the board. I was like, wait, hold on a second. This is what happens. But it's my friend. He ended up in a good spot. Hopefully that team makes the playoffs, and I think Bucky will have a big part of that down the stretch here.
Do I still have Bucky Irving?
What is it?
Do I still have him in that league? I don't know.
I don't know. We don't need to talk fantasy. Let's talk about the fact that the track that you were on with the Daniel Jones thing. Even in the offseason, when Malik Neighbors, and they were talking about going to the Giants, even Malik Neighbors, I believe, had a comment, and I don't exactly know what it is, so I'm going to misquote him. But he said something like, don't they need a quarterback, or they need a quarterback in New York? Like, he even said that before he got there. Like, everybody, I bet there's a family member that probably, like, was even like, hey man, I don't know. Like, I think they might go this route. They might be better off that way. Like, and that's the kind of, you cannot have that kind of doubt. You just got to build that guy up, because he already has enough people like us out here in the world putting negativity or doubt or whatever it is. And this is why I'm not on social media anymore, because of how just awful human beings are to each other. And they're the worst to these people that are at the top. They're at the pinnacle. Like, Daniel Jones is not trash, but that's the way that he's talked about. It's like, he could be successful. He has everything that's there. He just needs the right spot to put it together. With all that being said, I'm taking the Bucs to win this game by like 15 points. Like, I think that this is like, 33-18. This is just a beatdown for the Buccaneers coming off of a bye. I like the defense there for the Giants, but I just think it'll be too much from everything Buccaneers going that way. So don't let me down. Don't let me down, Bucs. Let's go to Chicago. The Dogs. The Bears, underdogs at home against the Vikings. Vikings also another team that needs this win, keep pace with the Lions. That NFC North is gonna be fun. Looks like they're gonna get 3 teams into the playoffs. The Vikings offense has just been in this weird kind of like rut situation, like just kicking too many field goals. Sam Darnold making some mistakes. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how you have so much talent there on the Vikings offense and they're struggling to score. Like, when you have Jefferson and Addison and Jalen Naylor's played really nice, and then you get back Hockenson. Last week I was talking about how it seemed like they were trying to incorporate Hockenson more and it was like struggling. But then last week Hockenson didn't seem like a huge part of the game plan, or at least the way it unfolded. And it still was struggle city for them. So I think the Vikings have a chance to get back on track. But when I saw the over-under at 39, I was like, everybody's projecting this to be bad. Like, maybe it's going to be windy in Chicago. The Bears, we talked about them last week, Joe. It was like they got into a situation where like everything that could be going wrong was going wrong, and then they lose on a blocked field goal. Like, it's just continuing to just snowball downhill, like, comedy style situation. This is Chris Farley in the movie Black Sheep falling down the hill. That's how bad.
And their offense looked a little bit better after firing Waldron and going on. But this is the Minnesota Vikings. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with the Vikings offense. Like you said, but Aaron Jones was out there talking this week like, hey, I want some touchdowns. I haven't got a touchdown in 4 weeks. So this might be one of those games where they kind of overfeed their running backs and get it going. But it's something that could help them in the long run. Like you said, they lost their a little bit of identity on offense. They just need to get it back going with Sam Darnold. But that's what happens in the NFL. You start off hot, people watch the tape, they break you down, then you got to make the adjustments. Minnesota hasn't made those adjustments on offense yet. I think the Browns or the Bears are still going to struggle, and this is one of the top defenses in the league. Like, they don't give up points. Like, it's the Chargers, then the Vikings right here on defense right here of points. So good luck, Caleb. Good luck this week.
Yeah, I do think Caleb played a lot better last week. Like, if we're being fair, like it. But again, it was like on all those things. I think I texted you guys this where it's like Shane Waldron must be pissed because it's like, wait, so I could have just ran sort of a more basic, zone reads, quick screens. Like, I could have done all these things. Like, Caleb's going to need to get the ball out of his hands like really, really fast in this game, or it's going to be Sack City for everybody. Pat Johnson.
And according to Tommy, he'll love Sack City.
I already saw this. We're not going this route. We're not doing that.
He'll love prison. You ever seen that Office?
You guys are getting me off track here. The Bears are. It's a messy situation because of the coaching situation that's there. Like, because of the players maybe not agreeing. We get another divisional game. Like, if they just keep losing these games and they're losing them at home, it's a bad spot for them. I want to see the Vikings get back on track. And I have Aaron Jones in fantasy, and I could use some touchdowns too. But was banged up with a knee, banged up with ribs. Like, he's also got to be healthy.
He's always been one of those running backs that you're not going to get the full 16, 17 games out of him. So, like, that's the thing about Aaron Jones. When he's on the field, badass player, but you got to take those 2 or 3 games that he's not on the field.
I think they've done a good job of managing him this year because a lot of the times it's been like soft tissue. He's getting hamstring stuff. So he's been – I don't think he's missed any games this year. It's just that he's leaving some of the games early because of just the physicality and the nature of football there. Let's go to our next game, Joe. This one's near and dear to your heart. We got the Denver Broncos, who snapped a streak. I went and looked it up. The Raiders have beat them like 8 straight games in a row. They had won 9 of 10 against them, and then the Broncos got their revenge in a big way last week. And I know you can't make up for 8 straight losses in one game, but a season sweep this year would be good for them. I like the Broncos in this game. I picked them in the Broncos against the spread when it was at -5.5. I still feel good when they're at -6. I did see some positive things from your Raiders last week on offense, Joe. It did look a little bit better. I just don't think that it's going to be enough to go up against this Broncos defense. I think is a lot better than the Dolphins defense. I think
the Raiders offense last week. Did they even punt? I don't even know if they punted last week. But just slow, long drives. Still didn't get the running game going, but that's something they've been working for. But the Broncos and the Raider game last time they played, right? That was probably the biggest turning point in the Raiders season and probably the Broncos season since that matchup. The Raiders completely dominated the Broncos in that first half, all the way up until it's 10-0. Raiders are driving right on the end zone. Pick 6 right to Surtain.
Terrible too.
And gone. And that turned the whole damn game around. It's like the whole Raiders team just said, "Oh shit, we're done," and gave up. But being up 17, and that's what people were like. Well, you think just because they're up 17-0, no, that makes a big difference, especially with the rookie quarterback at that time. But Bo Nix got the confidence in that second half and just completely destroyed the Raiders after that in the second half. So. Do I think the Raiders have a good game plan against the Broncos? Yeah, probably. Can they execute it? Because I made a video earlier this week, and now it's like, as a Raider fan, now it's just like, let's have fun. Let's have fun making fun of shit because you got to be able to laugh at yourself, right? So I said, can the Raiders beat the Broncos? Yes. Will they beat the Broncos? Fuck no. Hell no, they're not going to do it. Just because something will come up, they will lose it. And that's why I'm starting the Broncos defense against the Raiders in fantasy football this week.
So that's Gardner, like emotional hedging.
Give me something. Give me some interceptions, Gardner.
That is emotional hedging. That is like, if your team wins, you don't really care about fantasy. But when your team does bad, you need to get something out of it. And if it means a fantasy football win, if that's where you're at in the season, and it feels like that's where Raiders fans are going to be at for the next couple of seasons, then go for it, Joe. Like,
I'm just like, the Raiders' motto is what? Just win, baby.
Yeah.
And we have all these, and I'm just getting like emotionally drained because of all the Raider fans out there that just want to tank, baby, tank. And they think that because you have the number 1 overall pick, that changes your whole thing. They think, look at what Jaden Daniels has done in Washington, and that could happen for the Raiders. Well, you know what else they did in Washington? They went out and got an aggressive GM, and they fired their head coach and brought a new head coach in. Plus, they brought an offensive coordinator. And then they go, well, look at Houston. They got C.J. Stroud that year at number 2 overall. You know who else they got at number 3? Will Anderson, and a new coach, and an aggressive GM. It's like there's things that add up to this that you're not looking just because you're going. And look, you want to go number 1 overall, and they go, we want Shedeur Sanders. He might not even be the best quarterback in the draft, but you're going to draft him at number 1 over whoever it is. Like that's the thing that it's like that puts me down. That's why worry about the offseason in the offseason. That's my thing. If you need to trade up in the draft and you're sitting at number 7 or 8, then you make that trade when it happens. Don't fight for it right now because you're already seeing the New York Giants tanking. You're seeing the Dallas Cowboys now going, screw it, we're done. Because that game on Thanksgiving is going to be amazing. So you're just seeing all these other teams just go ahead and give it. But look, Carolina Panthers picked their quarterback of the future 2 years ago, right? Worked out great for them.
This is, oh man, that's a lot to dive into here. So let's just go with Rory's cheer up speech here. Chin up, Joe, chest out, and drive that Raiders bus. Back the boys. I think that's the direction that you have to go as a fan, right? Where it's like, and we talked about this last year when Herbert goes down. I never rooted for the team to lose, but I just wasn't upset when they lost. Like I think there's a difference between actively rooting for your team to lose, like because you should be fans of all these individuals on your team or most of them and hoping that they succeed, that things are going well for them or whatever it is. Because like you clearly pointed out, and we have hundreds of years of documentation on this, there are no guarantees in the NFL draft. There are zero. You cannot draft any player at any position and say, I 100% think this player is going to be a lock to be whatever it is because of the amount of variables. The situation that they end up in, the health factor every week. They're getting into multiple car crashes, the equivalence of that every week. What the ownership, management, it's all just up in the air wherever it is. Like, I don't know, Joe. Like, I think that, like, the Raiders are in a rough spot because your fan base has never been louder or had more access. And then you just have so much hate and anger in like one large voice of people. Like it's just impossible to ignore. Like they're just so upset and they're so like full of confidence at the beginning of the year. And then by like week 6, it's like fire everybody. This sucks. It's like, what happened to the vision or the plan that you guys were coming into the year with? You're just abandoning it this fast? It doesn't make any sense.
Get them all out of there, Tony. Get them all
out. Emotional.
They
were emotional. Speaking of emotional, I watched a video this week of Dan Campbell back when the Lions started off 0-5, and he was crying. He was up there, and he's like, you just want more for these guys. When they lose it, they lost a division game, I think, to the Vikings. And we all should have known how this was going to end up, that they were going to be a team, maybe not as good as they are, but we all should have been like, oh yeah, they're going to get this thing right because of the amount of investment and passion that's in there. Now, would anybody have thought that they'd be like Super Bowl favorites? Probably not, Joe. Like that to me is a little, I still can't wrap my mind around it. Like I grew up and spent a lot of time in the house of my grandfather, who's been a Lions fan since Bobby Lane. And he always knew the Lions were going to disappoint him. It was like, some of my favorite memories are him yelling at Wayne Fonts in the TV back in the 90s. Like he would just get so mad about how the Lions disappoint him. Anyways, they're not disappointing. They are destroying teams, putting up 50 pieces against NFL teams. I don't care what organization you're playing against. That's tough to do, to put up 50 points against a team. They are doing it. They're going for it on like 4th and 3s in field goal range, which is like, hey, here it is. And when I was younger, I didn't really like that. The older I've gotten, I do. Karmically, I think it's bad. But also, like, when you're in the moment, you are telling your team, we are never calling off the dogs in any game. We are going for all 60 minutes that are eligible to be played. When that ball is snapped, we go full tilt, non-stop. We are winning, like the kneecaps, the dragging them out to the ocean, whatever metaphors Dan Campbell is using, like, it's put into practice. That's how it is.
Well, that first year where Dan Campbell was down, the team was down, and they went 3-13, and they had, I think there was games where they just got blown out, but it was like, I think that helped him because he knows how bad it is to be down here. And now where he's up here, he doesn't forget that. He doesn't forget where he came from. And he goes, you know what? We can lose. And we've seen it in the NFL. No lead change is safe. And we've always wondered why teams have gone away from that when they're up 17, 24 points, and then all of a sudden the other team comes back on them quick because the offensive rules are there for you to come back. And the Lions putting up 50 points, and it just says that Dan Campbell never takes that foot off the gas, which you got to love as a head coach. And you got to love when Ben Johnson is just doing these random-ass plays, different reverses. You got the linemen involved. But this is another AFC South team that they're going against, Tony. This is their third week in a row going against an AFC South team. They struggled with the Texans. There's nothing about that. That one was was that, an overtime game or right at the end of the game, 26-23? But they put up 50 points against the Jaguars, and they put up 52 against the Titans. Will this be another 50-point game against an AFC South team? I hope so.
No, absolutely. I don't think so.
You're just saying that because you're in love with Anthony Richardson again.
And that's what I'm about to get into right here. They did beat the Texans in that 5-interception game with the bricklayer from Houston, the Houston area, Jake Bates from my UFL Michigan Panthers. Colts. I backed Anthony Richardson preseason during the benching, and then last week on the show, Joe, when we talked about it, I said that if you're believing in the guy, just keep the belief going. And he went out there and had his best game last week. And a lot of people will be like, oh, well, the bar is super low. But it's like, yeah, the bar may be low, but if you clear it by so much the way he played last week, like some of those drives he had in the second half to go down there to win the game was extremely impressive. I'm a huge fan of him, of Shane Steichen. And then also the other thing that I think could be like a little bit of an edge in this game is like watching Grover Stewart play football is so much. Like this guy is crazy physical. You got DeForest Buckner. The D-line's going to get after it. Sorry, guys. My dog is having like a panic attack. Talk about the...
Yeah, because he can't believe how much you love Anthony Richardson. Even your dog is like, Tony, you're fucking nuts right now.
Joe, if this kind of goes along with what you were saying about with the Raiders, why not have the faith? It like in the preseason, if I thought Anthony Richardson was going to be good, like why wouldn't I just continue to roll with that? Like, what does it matter if I'm wrong as a fan? It doesn't matter if I'm wrong. Just making predictions and having fun and talking about football. And I think this game can be close. I like the +8. I'm still going to pick the Lions to win the game, but I don't think this game is a blowout. I think that the Colts are competitive. I think the fans are going to show up for them this week, and they have a lot on offense and a lot on defense. In the preseason, Joe, we both like the Colts this year. Like, I just don't think that this is going to be a blowout game. And if Anthony Richardson can put back-to-back games, I definitely like this to be within the +8 margin.
Yeah.
All right. You ready to talk about my boys?
No.
In the game of the week? I'll be at this game on Monday Night Football. I'm so excited. Me and Mike are going. Chargers hosting the Ravens. A lot's being made about the Harbaugh brothers playing each other, which is fun. But this game is so much more because we have the playoff seeding on the line, right? We're looking at like if the Chargers can win this game and have the tiebreaker, they can get the 5th seed, which looks like it's kind of moving towards a playoff game against the Houston Texans. Don't want to get ahead of myself, but that's a matchup that I would like. I would like for the Chargers or the Ravens in that situation. Ravens, watching that game back last week against the Steelers, I really think that the Ravens dropped the ball there. They came out slow and off a little bit in the first half. Otherwise, even with the couple of missed field goals by Justin Tucker, they still should have won. I'm biased, and I'm going to be at the game. I'm picking the Chargers. I'm not going to hide or say anything about that. I like what the Chargers have been doing, what they've been building. If this week they figure out a way to get just enough of the run game going to allow Herbert to attack the secondary of the Ravens, I like the Chargers to be able to pull out a 3 to 6 point victory on Monday night, and then for shit to just get super loud and noisy about the Chargers and where they're at and Herbert and all the crazy nonsense. But then also too where the Ravens are at and losing some of these games, and especially the way the game unfolds, I think tells a little bit of a story too. That will leave us there. But I like the Chargers in this week. Who are you rooting for? The Ravens?
You think beating the Ravens is a big deal? You think putting a win on the Ravens is anything, Tony? Huh? You think we'll just stamp them as AFC contenders after they beat the Ravens? You know who's beating the Ravens this year?
Yes,
the
I do.
Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Browns. Those three teams have beaten the Ravens this year. And I'm not impressed with all three of those teams.
Yeah, they
see that
they lost to the Steelers and the Chiefs, right? Steelers and Chiefs that's understandable. You can do that, especially road game against the Steelers last week. But they do have a tendency to drop some of these games. John Harbaugh after a loss is really good. And that's the kind of the things that scare me is the way that John Harbaugh can focus his team after a big loss, the leadership of Lamar Jackson after a big loss. And then you have this situation where you're coming in and you're getting another desperate team. I think part of the reason that the game last Monday night was so close was you could feel the desperation from the Bengals. They were going for it on a lot of fourth downs. And it's hard to stop really good quarterbacks when their coaches are giving them extra chances and extra downs to continue drives, score touchdowns, whatever it is. I think that's the spot here.
Who's the offensive coordinator for the Chargers?
Greg Roman.
Who did Greg Roman get fired from?
The Ravens.
Right? So you're going to sit there and tell me that John Harbaugh doesn't know every single thing that Greg Roman can throw at him.
So that's the thing is where it's when somebody knows your tendencies to what it is, you almost have a better chance to play mind games against them. And
but
here's
Greg
the thing
Roman
too.
ain't that good. He's not that good.
You say that he's not that guy, and I'm saying I'm seeing a different story because when have you ever seen hang on a second, Joe. When have you seen a team that was coached by Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman as the offensive coordinator abandon the run when they are up 27-6 in a game? And what did they do? They said, Herbert's hot right now. We're going to keep this going. And they shouldn't have. They should have been giving the ball to Gus Edwards, who was having success in that game. And they were having some shit 3-and-outs to give the Bengals the football back right away, to gas out the defense a little bit in that game. They are doing things that are different from previous years' tendencies.
Greg Roman has been trash everywhere he's gone.
I'm not going to sit here and listen.
San Francisco, Buffalo, Baltimore, and now you got the recycled trash in Chargers thinking that he's going to beat the – which one of these Harbaugh have a Super Bowl ring? Yeah, I'm taking him to win this game.
We got it.
Yeah. Jim can take his ass back to college because that's the only time he's going to win a championship.
I'm glad you're hating on the Raiders. Joe's taking the Ravens. Chalk up another L for him. Bolt up. If any Chargers fans are seeing this, we'll be at SoFi. Let's say hi. Let's celebrate a big victory. we're going back to back-to-back games at SoFi. Mike's going to both of these, I think. Eagles coming to town, playing the Rams. I'm hearing a lot of Eagles fans are going to be at this game. Like some of the podcasts I've listened to, they're reporting like 50%, 52% of the tickets are being bought by Eagles fans. They travel well, and there's a lot of people out here from Philadelphia that are going to take the chance to go see their Birds play in this game. I picked earlier this week on the newsletter show, and we do the against the spread section. I took the Eagles -3 in this game. I think Fangio's defense is really coming together quite nicely. The defensive line each week is making more strides. Saw Josh Sweat get out there and make some plays, and Jalen Carter is just accepting the challenge of greatness. And I think that's the thing that's like, you can be a really, really good player, but at a certain point, you have to accept the fact you could be that next guy, that the person that ends up in the TJ and JJ Watt and Aaron Donald and those game wrecker players that we are all so excited to watch. And I think Jalen Carter is saying like, yeah, I want to be that guy. And he can, and he should. But then you just see the secondary, since they made the move to Cooper DeJean, they're playing better there. The Devonta Smith injury is a little concerning, right? Like when Jalen Hurts doesn't have all of his weapons, but as long as he has A.J. Brown, maybe Jahan Dotson steps up, and Dallas Goedert, I like them to win this game by a field goal plus. It kind of hurts because I picked the Rams as my Super Bowl team, and they cannot afford to be losing games. But this just feels like a really tough spot against an Eagles team they're just rolling, and I think they're going to find a way to keep it going. And SoFi on Sunday. Where you settled in at this game?
Yeah, the Eagles are an 8-2 team, but they don't feel like an 8-2 team, right? It feels like they played down to their opponent's level. Like this is a game that I would think that the Eagles should go in there and just dominate. Like I think they should win this game by 14 plus points in my head. But will they? Probably not, because they'll play down to the Rams level, which is the Rams. Let's take it. The injuries have hit them. They're not. They're a good team, but not a great team. Like they're an up and coming team, and they're getting there, and they're very well coached. That's probably what keeps them in a lot of these games. But the Eagles, on paper, 10 times better than the Rams, and should be able to win this game. The Eagles need to find a way where they come out and they have that confidence where they're just blowing teams out like they used to. I want to see those. I want to see the Eagles just come out and play at their level every single game and win these games.
Yeah, it's so like the strength of the Rams defense is the defensive line, but then you have one of the best offensive lines in football. So that it kind of like neutralizes that effect. I really do think one of the fun matchups is going to be watching Jared Verse play either one of these tackles, because he is turning into that sort of like reminds you of like the power of Khalil Mack on the edge, kind of a more. No, I won't go. I was gonna draw a little Reggie White comparison, but like he's as far as I'm concerned, he's like all-time defensive line, and I don't like comparing people to Reggie. White.
Even Roy's saying the same thing. He's saying they don't feel like an 8-2 team, but for some reason he doesn't like them in this game, and they struggle against the Rams.
Okay, Rory's got the Rams. Me and Rory have a couple of picks against each other. He took the Bears this week. He's talking about Florida beating Ole Miss, which is kind of like one of the things that we might talk about this week on the show, on the newsletter show on Wednesday, which is why anybody watching this on MJT should subscribe to Fifth Down. It is MJT. It's in the description there below. But it's like some of these head coaches that could be making the jump to the NFL potentially. And Lane Kiffin is one of those guys I want to talk about. Kirby Smart. Like I just think there's going to be some opportunities for some college coaches if they want it to make a move to the NFL.
Tommy said the Lambs aren't winning.
What is it?
Tommy said the Lambs aren't winning this game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I haven't seen enough consistency from the offense. Eagles defense is too good, and I think Saquon Barkley might have a chance to hit a couple home runs. So go Birds. I need it for my picks. I really do need a win. I am hurting against the spread. I'm starting to lose to Mike, and it's annoying to lose to Mike in anything. This spread has gotten bigger. People are fading the Cowboys. This is where it's at. We're like, we have the Cowboys as like the third to last game, second to last game on our rundown here. And it's not because of the Commanders. It's because talking about the Cowboys is not that much fun. And, CeeDee Lamb is playing, not playing, question mark. Have no idea what's happening there. And Joe was talking about familiarity being a big thing here. Dan Quinn just came from this building. You have Micah Parsons saying that Dan Quinn and him are like texting, like they're like buddies. This just in my mind, when I think back to what these kind of rivalries used to be, there is no way. And obviously, I'm thinking of a time when cell phones didn't exist. Maybe they sent faxes to each other, like telegrams, smoke signals or something. I have no idea. I just don't think these guys communicated in the same fashion. I like the Commanders big in this game. This game to me feels like it's going to be a blowout city, like where people are going to be like cutting up the film and showing the Cowboys, like, look at this play where this guy quit. Look at this play where this guy didn't get it, like give full effort or chase down a play on the backside or, run with his receiver. Or it just feels so bad because then the Cowboys have to short week against the Giants. Like if they lose if they lose back-to-back division games in 5 days, it's just gonna get so ugly. All the comments, all the hatred, everything that's gonna be pointed towards them. I'm hoping that this is where the Commanders can start to figure things out and solidify themselves as a fun team to watch in the postseason. Like, don't just be like an easy one and done team, but like have it going in there where it's like, okay, the Commanders are the 6 seed or 7 seed in the NFC playoffs. And that feels like a really fun matchup when they have to go play, I don't know, the Eagles as the 2 seed, or however that shakes out between the Lions, Eagles. I think those are really the only 2 teams that I think are vying for those 1 or 2 spots. So if they can get that 7 spot, just be a team that's building in a direction where it's like, oh, this is going to be a really fun playoff game. They could have their sort of Jordan Love at the Cowboys Packers moment in the playoffs where the Jaden Daniels gets hot and the Commanders steal a game and ruin some fan's season. So is there anything you want to say about this game? Is there any more noise or crap?
The scoreboard will need a calculator for this game. It's going to get ugly. I think it's going to get very ugly. I think Washington has a great time with this game. And somebody, I forget which player it was it CeeDee Lamb or Micah Parsons? One of them came out and said, at this point, everybody is trying to embarrass the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I think they are. I think everybody is tired of hearing about America's team in the past couple of years, and they want to go out there. And if they can embarrass Jerry and all that, they're going to do it. And like I've told Raider fans, I go, and I don't know if I said this last week, but if you missed the last portion of Al Davis's career, this is it. What you're watching in Dallas is right here with Jerry Jones. His time has come and gone. He's done. Micah Parsons, can we stop talking about Micah Parsons being an elite pass rusher, an elite player on defense? He's a good player. He's an above average player, but he's not a game breaker. He's not a game difference maker anymore. Micah Parsons not there. I don't know if it's because he doesn't have the heart anymore or he doesn't want to play for this team. But you could take Micah Parsons out of a game real quick. Opposing teams are doing that easily right now. Washington's going to do that. Washington's going to have fun with this. They're going to play this, and they're going to put. I would say 40 points or more on this defense.
Yeah, it's good. It's going to be funny to see Micah Parsons on a little pre-Thanksgiving podcast talking about this game, while also the Giants game coming up on Christmas, depending on how DeVito plays in that game.
He's a lead up. He's a lead at something.
Yeah, so just for the record, I disagree with you about Micah Parsons. I think it is he's a little bit more emotionally influenced by his situation. Like, I don't necessarily think that he has like the kind of game Myles Garrett just had, like the primetime game that Myles Garrett just played for a 2 and whatever team. And Tommy was in here. He's like, hey, did anybody pick the Browns? Because he didn't. I didn't pick the Browns either.
No, I didn't pick the Browns. But look at Tony, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, whoever it is, they're on shitty teams. but their effort is there every damn play, and there's no question about it. Right now, the Cowboys are going through a bad spurt, and like I said, maybe it's an emotional that Michael Parsons. I'm not saying he's not a good player, that he doesn't have that athletic ability to be an elite player again, but he looks like he's checked out.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. It's tough. It's
Tommy saying just run at him. Tommy said run at him.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been the why I've always said that I would. Myles Garrett is my favorite edge rusher of the current time, right? It's why I would always, whenever we would do our picks for the many podcasts we've done for Defensive Player of the Year, I was always picking Myles Garrett. Like, I think that there's an element of Micah's game where you can, you can run straight at him, take him out. Like, he can't set the edge, play the run maybe as good as some of these other elite guys. But as far as getting to the quarterback, being able to beat a guard or beat somebody off the edge, like I think he's elite. I feel I don't know. I don't want to go into it. I'm done talking about the Cowboys. I'm over the Cowboys. We'll go through these last couple of games here pretty quick. We got the Patriots at the Dolphins here. This game right here with Mike McDaniel having an opportunity to this feels like a game he has to absolutely has to win this game. And then all of a sudden they start getting creeping back into playoff contention. That's when it's like, hey, what is this team going to be able to do down the stretch as opposed to last year where they faded down the stretch? Can this team get it together and continue that just ascension to getting in to the final three spots in the AFC East? They're moving the ball better on offense. There's still something a little bit off. Like, even when I was watching Raiders Dolphins, I wasn't overly impressed with the game. Like, they scored late to make the game look worse than it was, but I felt like there was points in the game where the Raiders could have actually won. Like, if they weren't the Raiders could have won that game. And that's the part that kind of scares me, where it's like, if the Patriots hang around in this spot, can Drake May make something happen in this game? I would like to the thing that from the Patriots side is continue to have high usage of Keyshawn Boutte. Just let's start building him up as a potential, wide receiver 2 of this team. Like Demario Douglas, all of these young players on the team on offense, start building a bond so that next year heading into the season, it's you have 2 or 3 players that you feel really good about and guys that are going to be on the roster, major contributors that Drake May has all offseason to be communicating with, working on film, routes, all those things that we see successful quarterbacks doing. So, I mean, that's pretty much – I'm taking the Dolphins in this. If it was 6.5, I'd feel better about it, but I probably still would take the -7 for the Dolphins. They should win this game, and they should win it pretty easily.
I'm taking the Dolphins too, but my question is, where the hell is Jalen Waddle? What is Jalen Waddle doing? Can he catch some balls? Can he get involved? They're throwing it to him, he's dropping it. It's Jalen, come on. This is your season. Tyreek's hurt. You can be playing. You should be dominating this game. Jalen Waddle has been non-existent this year.
Yeah, he has been a little less effective than I thought he would be, especially after getting that kind of a contract, getting the kind of opportunities that he's gotten. I still think he's, a top-end wide receiver. For them to be making this run to the playoffs, he's one of those guys that needs to take it to the next level, right? And I think that, I think hopefully we'll see a little bit more Jalen Wright. Malik Washington was a player that I really liked in the draft. Maybe he gets a little bit more action here. So
Jonnu Smith has resurfaced his career, right?
What is it?
Jonnu Smith, he's back.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith is he's sort of like that Delaney Walker tight end, where it's in the right spot, built into the game plan. Very effective tight end. Very effective.
I don't like him wearing number 9, but
you don't like him wearing number 9?
No, it looks weird for a tight end to wear number 9, but it's all right. I'm old school.
Oh, here goes Joe. Get off my lawn. This is the last game. we're gonna talk about here. Titans division rival going against the Texans. I took the Texans in this at -8.5 on the against the spread show. This Titans team, this is a spot where if I'm the Texans, I need my offensive line to show me we can protect in this game. Like, we can give CJ Stroud time, because this is a good test to have it against. Nico Collins back out there. Tank Dell has looked pretty good. Dalton Schultz. I really like the way Cade Stover's played, even though he's from Ohio State. I think he's had some nice moments for the team this year. But, like, Texans in this game, like, let's make a statement. Let's play 4 quarters of football against a team that feels like it's competing for the first overall pick. And if I'm on the Titans side of this, it's like things have been really close all year to being good. A win like this would give them some momentum down the back half of this season. Like, that's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, so Will Levis hit his stride. Because right now is the moment that Will Levis needs to go on his Jordan Love-esque run if he wants to have a shot to be considered for this team's quarterback. Like, they can't make the playoffs, but can Will Levis put together a 6 or 7 game stretch where he is just lights out and the conversation gets really noisy about what they should be doing at quarterback? Because then obviously he ruins their chances to get the number 1 overall pick, but he's going to have to play that kind of game. Because I think the defense can back him up. He's just got to go have that moment where it's like, you got Calvin Ridley. Westbrook-Akine has been a really nice player for them this year. I haven't noticed Chigakonko that much, so I'm not sure that he's healthy. But if he is, great player. Pollard and Spears, you have the pieces. Like, just go put this thing together and go on a run where you are the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans.
Well, normally you would look at this game like Titans have no shot, but then you remember the Texans gave up 300-plus yards to Cooper Rush. Like, Cooper Rush was tearing this defense apart, even though Stingley couldn't hold on to a damn interception if his life depended on it last week. Not that I bet on it or anything like that, but all I needed was 1 interception in the second half, and he only dropped 4 of them. Tony. But it's going to be a closer game than we think. The Texans aren't that dominant and aren't surprising teams like they did last year. They're still trying to find a little bit. What's up with Slowick? He went from being a top offensive coordinator last year, Tony, to somewhere where you're like, I don't know if I want this guy to be my head coach. He's still making some good play calls, but is he as aggressive? Is he that top play calling guy that we thought he was? I don't think he gets a head coaching job at the end of this year if the Texans continue to play the way they are right now.
No, I don't think so for sure, because of the way that it's fallen off, but that narrative can change. This is the thing, is like, all he needs to do, because the team is still going to make the playoffs most likely, right? Like, I don't think there's any way the Colts can catch them for the division at this point. It would be quite an impressive fall off for them to do that. Can the Texans offense turn it around in the final 6-7 games of the season, have an extended playoff run where they maybe they get the Chargers at home week 1 of the playoffs and they win that game, and then maybe they're on the road at Buffalo or Kansas City and they find a way to win that game. Now all of a sudden, Slowick's name is right back where it is, because as fans we have a tendency to do this thing where it's like he overachieves in the year 1 with CJ Stroud, and then we're like, this guy should be a head coach. When really head coaching is so much more than play calling. Like, it is, and we see it all the time. And I do think that that Ben Johnson has a better chance of success because of the decisions that he's made. Hasn't just taken the jobs that he could have taken. And he's waited, he's learned, he's watching how something successful is built. I think Slowick could be doing the same thing. Like, stay with the Texans, win this division 2-3 years in a row, and then see what jobs present themselves to you. Like, don't just run out and take any sort of a job, because there could be 8-9 job openings. That would be something, Joe. That would be something to see who gets those jobs. All right. Let's
Going
close this.
undefeated this week. Just to let you know, those are some great picks for me. So if you guys missed them, go back, rewind it, because I just picked every single winner this week.
He did. Joe is actually going to finish the week 12-1 because he did pick the Ravens. So he's going to take 1 L on Monday Night Football. We appreciate you stopping by here. Again, if you're on the MJT version of this show, go down into the description and hit the subscribe button on Fifth Down Shop YouTube channel, because come playoff time, we'll be doing all of our shows over there, and we love having you guys in the comments and talking football with us. Joe and I will be back next Saturday, I believe. I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving, right? Like, eat a bunch of food, root for your fantasy teams, win all your bets, that all your teams win if they play on Thanksgiving.
But yeah, please switch over to the Fifth Down Shop YouTube, because not only do you get this show, Tony has a show that he does weekly that he's been putting up there as well. So there's going to be more than just this show going on. The MJT channel, YouTube, you did us dirty.
Yeah, we're having fun. It's football season. It's going by too quickly, as Rory mentioned, to open the show. Yeah, have a great, safe weekend. And again, like I said, I hope all of your teams win, even though it is not mathematically possible. We'll see you next Saturday, everybody.